Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments, and I am bringing you another in our series of layouts for the 12 Days of Christmas, or our 12 Days of Christmas layouts. And this is another one from our blog, but this is a little bit different in that this is just a single page layout I'm going to give you for today. If you want to turn this into a double page layout, there are ways you can do it, and I will try to remember to suggest those to you when we get to the end. But for now, we're just going to complete a one page today, which I know is a little bit unique. Usually I try to give you a 2-page layout, but for the purposes of today, we're just going to do a 1 page. So again, my admiration and kudos goes to the designers who put forth their energy and effort in designing the ideas that go on our Creative Memories blog page. This comes directly from them, and I'm not going to vary too much from it because it's super cute, and although it only has 2 pictures on it, I believe it's a very unique layout, and once in a while it is fun to do layouts like this where you get to, decorate just a little bit more. I'm not going to do it every day because honestly I don't have the time to do it, but once in a while it is fun. So you're going to need your custom cutting system. You're going to need your red blade and the smallest of your 3 green the smallest of your 3 circles. And then you're also going to need one of the rectangles. This is the smaller of the 2 rectangles. In that set you get these 3 pieces, and so we don't need the square and we don't need the big rectangle, but we do need the smaller one. And there may be a way that you could probably do this without it, but this is going to be a key tool in this design today. You're also going to need a corner rounder and your adhesive, of course, and I'm going to be using the repositionable adhesive as well as the permanent adhesive. You're going to need a mat, something that you can put on your paper vertically like this. And then I have also one of our laser border strips here. This is reversible, which is lovely. You can turn it to whichever side makes you more happy. I love the darker green on this one, so that's probably the side I'm going to use. You're going to need 3 pieces of designer paper. I have a dark green that's going to be our base, and then we're going to cut a piece of this kind of wood pattern that's going to go behind the word joy. Then we're going to use this striped pattern right here to make the letters for the J and the Y. And then I'm going to use all these scraps from the other day. If you have been watching my channel, then hopefully you saw the video where we made all these cute little Christmas trees. And if you haven't, go find that one. That one's a really, really fun double page layout to make. But and it left me with all of these little pieces, and so I'm going to use these. I'm hoping I'm going to use these to make the O that's going to go around the center. So let's see how that works. Hopefully I can use those up. So I'm going to just scoot my adhesive over to the side for a minute, and my corner rounder, because I'm not going to use that immediately. And I'm going to scoot this over here as well. The first thing we're going to tackle is this circle, the O that's going to go in the middle of our page, because I want to make sure that I can do that with these scraps that I have. So just going to move the rest of this away. I have a scrap of white cardstock here, although it doesn't really matter what color cardstock you use. You can use anything that makes you happy. You're going to use the small circle template, as I said, and your red blade, and we're going to cut around the center and around the outside. So the first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and cut my center out, and if you've never used our custom cutting system, I highly recommend it. This is a really fun way to get some really great shapes. You can cut a perfect circle every time, and I really should not have moved that, but I did, so now I get to try to center that again. Excuse me a second. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to cut the outside. You can get circle patterns with this tool. You can get ovals. You can get the variations that we're using today, which are the rectangles. You can use, there is a collection that has some other variants of shapes, which is a lot of fun. So I'm just going to set this aside. We are going to use that again, so don't think that we are going to be totally done. And I'm going to just put a few strips of adhesive on my circle, going from the inside to the outside. Then I'm going to go ahead and take my my triangles and pointing the smaller portion of the triangle towards the middle, I am going to go ahead and add these, trying to keep them straight out to the edge. I'm going to add them to my circle. And I'm going to overlap them as I go. So I am, and it's okay that, you know, I put 3 of them on here already, and I didn't overlap, but that's okay. As long as I don't have any gaps, everything will be good. So just going to add these on. There really doesn't have to be a rhyme or a reason, but I am trying to kind of vary my colors so that I don't have a huge amount of green or a huge amount of red in any one place. So I'm gonna kind of add this guy in the middle because he's got a lot of color on him. We'll add this guy in there. Maybe this guy. Okay, so now we need some more adhesive. Notice I'm using my repositionable adhesive, so if I want to pull one off, it'll be very easy to do that. If I want to put it somewhere else. Kind of covering that just because I don't want them to fall off for sure. I want to keep them right there. So I'm going to add this solid red that's so pretty. I love red. Love, love, love red. Here's that polka dotted pattern. Let's get some more of the poinsettia in there. A little more of the lights. Actually, I'm going to move that in just a little so I have a little more of the lights kind of on the page. I want to get that one in there, but I'm going to, I would like to do that one too. Here, let's add another plaid. Try to represent, you know, the same amount of space on your circle for each of your colors, so, or each of your pieces. That might be easier said than done, but let's see. Let's try and do, I don't have any of that one, and I've already got a lot of colors on here, so I'm gonna, I think, go back to, I'll do this one, and This one. Careful as you're pushing it down that you're not rubbing off your adhesive like I just did. That was kind of awkward. Didn't really mean to do that, but I definitely did. Okay, let's do another of these. And then I need one more, and I'm just going to add a little bit more adhesive to make sure that this last one fits, or stays attached. And I think I'm going to do this dark red one again. Okay, so like so. And if you want to, you could, if I wanted to, I could probably lift up this poinsettia and put it over the top of the other one, but you know what, I'm not going to worry about it. All right, so the next thing that you do is flip that over and grab your template again. Set it right on there. Center it the best you can so that we are going to use our blade one more time and go around the center and go around the outside edge again so that we can cut those edges right off. Sorry, I think I didn't have my feet in the right place. Okay, so there we go. Whoops, I think my blade did not cut through the center, so let me do that one more time. This one can come off as well. Let's get all our extra pieces out of there. And we'll line this up again. Could be that I just wasn't pushing hard enough. There. All right, and there is our O for our word joy. Okay, so we're done with all these scraps, so I can use those in something else. Scoot them off to the side. Now I'm going to grab my other template. This is the smaller of the rectangles, remember? And I'm going to grab my red paper. And we're going to make, let's see, I'm going to cut 2 of these ovals. And again, we're going to cut around the outside edge and the inside edge. Stay. Okay, so there's the outside edge. Now we're going to do the inside edge. All right. So there's one circle, or one rectangle, sorry. It's not a circle, it's a rectangle. Now we're going to do a second one. And because I have this thin piece right here, I think I'm going to cut that first. Well, that's not helping. Come on, stay in one place. You really do have to hold these templates down. They like to move sometimes. But as long as you hold them down, they work fantastic. All right. Now we're going to do the center of this one. There we go. There's our second one. Okay, I'm going to move this paper off to the side here for a second. And now we're going to take a look at this, and we're going to do some trimming. So I'm going to grab my trimmer, because I would rather use my trimmer than try to use my scissors and fussy cut it. And we need a couple of different pieces. As you can see in the pattern, we need a J shape and we need a Y shape. So what we're going to do is, first of all, I'm going to cut this at the top. So I'm going to cut it, I'm going to line this up so that the center of the O is right on my cutting line, and I'm going to cut it off. Okay? So I have that break right there. Then I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to line up the edge of my J, or the edge of my rectangle, my circle. It looks like a big zero to me. Doesn't it look like a big zero? So the flat edge of the zero is going to go right on the edge of my trimmer, and I'm going to cut through the other side. Okay, so that's going to leave me with my J shape. Now this piece we can use for the top part of our Y shape. Okay, and to figure out how or where to cut that, I'm estimating that I'm going to put the corner of my piece here at the 2-inch mark. And there may be instructions that say that I'm crazy for doing it this way, but this is the way I'm doing it. I'm going to put the straight part of my circle, or the top part of this, at the 45-degree angle line, and the corner at 2 inches. And I'm going to cut, and we're going to see if that works. See if that's what we like. We're going to probably need to do some fussy cutting, but that's where I'm going to start. Okay, now let's do some quick measuring. So, looks like my letters are almost 5 inches high. So I'm going to need probably a 3 to 3.5, maybe let's just do a 3-inch piece, a 3-inch long piece to be the length of my Y. So I'm just going to cut the circle on the straight line. I'm going to line that cut up at 3 inches right there. Make sure it's straight. So using my grid on my trimmer to make sure it's straight. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to just set the rest of this aside. This is going to be the stem for my Y. Okay, now I'm going to grab my scissors because I cannot avoid it anymore. And I'm going to grab my corner rounder. So you're going to round the corners of the pieces that are going to be most noticed. So I'm going to round the corners of the bottom of my Y. I'm not going to worry about the top because that top is going to be tucked underneath here, just like that. Okay, so I am going to round the corners of this, and actually on the example they have this cut rather than straight across this way, they have these cut this way. So fortunately the pattern of paper that I'm using is actually good for helping with that because it's got lines in it. So I just trimmed that off, and I'm going to take it and punch the corners to just round the corners on this. This is our CM double corner rounder. What that means is that it'll round the corners if you put the paper in this way, and if you put the paper in this way, it will cut a chunk out of the corner the opposite direction, which is kind of fun in certain circumstances to do. This one, we're going to round these corners again with the corner rounder, and in order for this to fit in here properly, I'm just going to trim off that little tiny bit so that I can round that easily. And okay, so there's our J, and we've got our O, and we've got our Y. Joy. All right, super cute. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do the get the rest of our page ready, right? Okay, so I need my base piece, which is the green, and normally I would go ahead and gut the page, but we're not. I am going to only cut a portion of this and use a portion of this. The rest is going to stay green, so I'm not going to gut this page. I'm going to cut a 5.5 inch piece off of this with the green going across. That's what our pattern shows, or our directions. So I'm just going to go ahead and get this over to 5.5 inches. Trim a 5.5 inch piece. Then I'm going to turn this and I'm going to cut it at 11.5, or yeah. So I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch off so that it is 11.5 inches wide, right? That will allow us to have a border around the edge. Sorry, there's our pattern so you can see it. Okay, so now we're just going to assemble this very quickly. So I'm going to set that over there, grab my adhesive, down each side. We're going to center this and put about 1/4 inch border around the outer edge. Okay, just like so. Then Joy is going to go on the J. We're going to center that. Let me go ahead and add. And just because I may want to move it, I'm just going to use my repositionable adhesive to put this on here. I'm going to put it on about a little more than 1/4 inch from the left side, and about maybe 3/8 of an inch all the way around centered. So 3/8 up here, 3/8 here, 3/8 down here, roughly. Then we're going to adhere our Joy. I'm not putting adhesive on this part down here on purpose because I want to be able to tuck my stem for my letter Joy, or my letter Y, up underneath. Just barely putting that underneath there, and then I have it's plenty long enough to make sure that my Y is centered. Okay, now the circle is going to be popped up with some foam squares, so I'm going to just put some foam squares kind of evenly spaced all the way around my O. And there's just, I only put 4 on here. I might have been able to put 5, but I didn't space mine out in such a way that I could fit 5 evenly. So I'm not going to worry about that. But anyway, here we go. So we're going to, so in respect to my cardinal, I'm just going to turn my O so that my cardinal is kind of upright, and then I'm going to center this in between my J and the Y. Okay, now to embellish this just a little bit, I'm also going to add just some pine boughs. In the example that was used by the CM designer, she uses holly, which is great, but I've already used that on another layout, so I can't use that for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put one foam square on the outer portion. I don't know what's going on upstairs, but somebody just got really excited. And I'm going to add some repositionable adhesive on the stem, and then that way it will give this even more dimension, because the inside portion will be down, and this will be popped up out here. So it will be just have a little bit more dimension. Okay, so we've got this right here sticking out each side. Then I'm also going to put foam squares on our garland that's going to go across. So I'm just going to put a few, one on each end. Then we're going to go maybe every 2 inches I'm going to put another one, so that this stays popped up and won't sag, because we don't want that to happen, right? Saggy garland is no picnic for anybody. Okay, and then this is going to go across the base of our wood paper. And it's also going to allow you to sneak a photo underneath by putting these foam squares in the center and not gluing the whole, adhering the whole piece to your page. Then you can fit your photos underneath your page. Okay. Be real careful, because this is going to go all the way across from edge to edge on your page, and you don't want it to, it will grab. These foam squares have a lot of really strong adhesive, so you don't want them to set down in a place where you don't want them to be. Okay, so at any rate, so I have this cute mat that I'm going to put in the center right here, but it's a little bit tall for what I want, so I'm going to just trim it just a little bit. So, not completely trim it, but I am going to trim it just a little, maybe right along the edge of the candy cane. So we'll do that on the top and on the bottom. So that I have a little bit better, yeah, that works much better as far as my borders go. I want to be able to have room for photos on either side of it, or for journaling. So you could make this center part, if you don't have mats, you could make the center part a journal box. And actually, because of where I have this sitting, what I probably should have done is moved the joy up just a little bit and made it a little bit closer to the top edge, so that I could move this up just a little. But because of where my garland is sitting and my foam squares, this measurement of photos is not going to fit on here. So I have those up underneath there as far as they're going to go. But I'm going to need to take at least 1/4 inch off of these. So this is going to be more like 5 3/4 by 3 3/4 for pictures that would go on here. Does that make sense? So just try to remember that if you're going to make this, to hold off on putting that on there until you have your photo here, or just know that you're going to need to adjust these pictures so that you have the green border that goes all the way around. All right, so in addition, we're going to just embellish a little bit here, and I'm going to add some cute hearts to the center of my wreath. I'm going to add some little holly leaves. This is exactly the way the example shows, in case you're wondering. Grabbing my tool so that I can just stick these up underneath here. It looks in the example like she actually added foam squares underneath there as well, but that would give you a double foam square height, and I just don't think that's really going to be helpful, because that would make your page way too thick. So I'm not going to do that. But we can certainly add some hearts in here to kind of draw out some of the other colors, and we can pop these up on some small foam squares because we love foam squares. I'm betting that this is a Melissa Ullman design. She loves foam squares. I didn't honestly look to see who did this design, so it could be anybody, but I know Melissa loves foam squares, so that's why I'm saying it's probably her. So we're just going to add a few of these little hearts. And she has some gems on here too. I don't know if I'm going to add the gems, but if I don't add the gems, then what I could do is add a couple of these little berries. This particular one is going to be too small for a foam square, which is okay. So we'll just add those in right there, and maybe add another one up here, just kind of there. And I think that will be good, unless we want to, I mean, you could add a little bird. We've got a couple of cardinal stickers. I could add a little bird in there. Let's stick a little bird in there on, what do I do with my foam squares? There it is. I'll stick a little foam square on him so he sticks up. And we could have him sitting on top of our joy, maybe to the side. We'll just have him sit right there. I think he's cute. All right, so anyway, you get the picture. And anyway, very cute design, very, very sweet. Here's the original one. And if you have the embellishments that she used available, by all means, do what makes you happy. But I really like this design, and I'm excited to use it. I hope that you have enjoyed being with me today and sharing the experience of putting this particular page together. I hope it brings you joy this season, and I hope that you will tune in for more layouts, because we still have a few more. We're about halfway through now, so maybe a little further than halfway actually with this one. So at any rate, I hope that you have a great day and have many more creative moments. Thanks for joining me. Take care.